Well, now we have come to the main part of this event. We're very, very excited that today we're going to get an opportunity to learn about a Mexican American history maker. In previous events, we have had very, very respectable, very admired Mexican Americans like Julia Nava, Ambassador Julia Nava, like Luis Valdez, Alex Nogales, and many other great Mexican American history makers. Today I'm very excited about today because this is a very important person in the Mexican American Latino community. Honorable Jerry Velasco, the councilman for the city of El Monte, is going to be with us today. Hi, Jerry. How are you?
Fine. How are you, Dr. Reese?
Very good. Very good. Oh, thank you for the formality. May I please call you Jerry?
Sure, definitely.
Yeah, I know we've been friends for a long time, but I think for our friends, I want to make sure that they know that many of the very highly respected and admired actors, politicians in this country, we all like to call you Jerry because you're a friend. You have helped the community in so many ways. So if you allow me, I'm going to just let our friends know, especially the young friends who are getting to know your story. I want them to know who we're talking, with. Jerry, as our friends like to call him, has been in the entertainment industry for over 40 years. And is an accomplished actor, producer, union organizer, and president of the art advocacy nonprofit Nosotros for almost 30 years. Nosotros is the oldest Latino art advocacy founded by Ricardo Montalban, as well as he heads his own multimedia entertainment company, Velasco Associates. Jerry also been very active in politics. First of all, helping many of the very well-respected politicians in their campaigns. Jerry has also served in the planning commission of the city of El Monte. He was elected as the El Monte city treasurer. It was a major pro tem, also elected as El Monte city council. And he served as Los Angeles County commissioner on local government services and was appointed by Hilda Solis. Jerry is also a longtime board member for some of the most important and respected associations of Latinos like La Raza, Council of La Raza, now called United, Naleo, LULAC, and the Mexican American Opportunity Foundation. So Jerry, you have such an amazing history. You've done so much for our community. But today what we want to know is we want to learn about your early life. We want to see how our young friends and all of us can emulate your success, learn from you, see how we can, become, as successful as you have been in your career, and how can we all, help our community like you have done for many years. So Jerry, I know that you were born in Mexico, in Ayotlan, Jalisco, and you moved to the United States very early in life. Please tell us a little bit about that.
Well, but first of all, I just want to say, Dr. Reese, thank you very much for having me on this program. Thank you for what you're doing. I think it's very important that the people that you've had before, you're documenting that history for the young generation, like your kids and your grandkids or your nephews, so that people don't forget what the history is all about. And I'm part of, I guess you could say, different histories, being involved with Nosotros. I'm currently the president emeritus of Nosotros, and so on. And now I'm the city councilman of the city of El Monte as an elected official. So people say, I went from acting to politics.
Yeah.
And it's a great combination if you know how to do it. So to answer your question, yes, I was born in Ayotlan, Jalisco. Originally, it was Ayo El Chico. Now it's Ayotlan, Jalisco. It's about an hour and a half away from Guadalajara. And my parents moved to Tijuana when I was 1 year old. And then at the age of 4.5, and we moved to Los Angeles. We immigrated. We're like I guess we were like the original DACAs. So the DACA students, and it was so different back then. So I consider myself a Mexican American, even though I am a Mexican born. I hold dual citizenships, and I'm very proud of being a Mexican, and I'm very proud of being a Mexican American also. So sometimes it gets that one does get very hard because you love both countries. You know, Mexico is like my mother, and the United States is like my father. And but it was a journey that my parents did. They were my father and my mother and all of my brothers and sisters. There was 9 of us that came over, and in 1959, my mom and my dad immigrated. All of us. I don't know how they did it, but we all came together and we immigrated to Los Angeles. So I consider myself an Angelino, a person that was not born in Los Angeles, but was raised in Los Angeles, part of it in East LA also, part of it in the southwest of Los Angeles. And so now I'm here in politics. Entertainment was one of my passions, and it still is a passion. And I've worked with a lot of people, from all the way from Ricardo Montalban, Anthony Quinn, Sammy Davis, Sinatra, and so forth. And that's where I met you, Dr. Reese, at Nosotros events. And
that's correct. That's correct, Jerry. You're absolutely right. And it's nice what you were telling us this story. It is so important for us to realize what a tremendous, cataclysmic thing it is for our fellow Mexican Americans to do the transition, and many times with a big family from Mexico to the United States, and what a sacrifice it is for some of our parents to do that. And I know your family. I've had the amazing fortune of meeting many of your family members, and I know you have a wonderful family, Jerry. I know they, in a way, they their love sheltered you a little bit from some of the environment that we live in. But you mentioned to me that you have had some important childhood memories. One of them was with a nun that influenced you. Tell us a little bit about your early life. Once your lovely family brought you to this country, how do you feel like you got involved? How do you acclimated to Los Angeles?
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep it short because it's such a beautiful story, beautiful life I've had. Yes, I was always shielded by my brothers and sisters. They're all much older than me. All my brothers and sisters, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot. My older sisters, they're like 20 years older. So I always say I have like 4 or 5 mothers on my life, and my older brother was also like 20 years older, and my younger ones, we were like 2 years apart. So I was always protected, being the youngest one. So you can say I was chiqueado, and I still am, believe it or not.
I think you still are.
Oh, yeah. And I love it. I love it. They still treat me as their little brother, and it's good because, as you were mentioning right now, I was always protected, and I think all of my younger brothers and sisters, we were always protected, and because there were a lot of issues back then, but I didn't see them that much as a problem, because my mom and my dad and my sisters made sure that we were protected and that we did not see the discrimination that was going on at the time. And it still is, but it was more evident back then, well, right now we see a lot of more evidence going on right now, but I think that it was a big shock for me coming in from Tijuana. We came in my brother-in-law, Nacho, brought us in his car in 2 trips. And we drove all the way from Tijuana to Los Angeles. Back then, it used to take about 4 hours, 5 hours to get here. There's only 1 lane in the 5 freeway. And we got here. I remember we got here on a Sunday night, and I don't know how my mom did it and my dad did it, but the next morning on Monday, we were all registered to go to school, and it was a Catholic school, a private school, Holy Cross, and they were able to register us. I don't know how they got the money, but I know that the schools, Catholic schools and other private schools, subsidize, and they give like what we call now scholarships. But we were all in there, all 4 of us, all the 4 younger kids were at Holy Cross, and I didn't know the language at all. It was I was shocked. I just remember walking with my sisters and my neighbors, the Durans, and I was crying because I was scared. It's a new environment. Everybody looked foreign to me, different, because I was always shielded, like you said, in my family. So I was not taken out a lot. We always spent our time all through our lives, even when I grew up. My mom and my dad used to say, you don't need friends. You have your friends here with your brothers and sisters and your neighbor that are here. And but I felt very comfortable because I had my brothers and sisters next to me, and the school and the nuns. And I remember, I just really vividly remember that standing outside the school doing the Pledge of Allegiance, which I didn't know what it was. And because we all did the Pledge of Allegiance before class outside in the playground. And class starts, and I look up. I didn't know what everything was done in English. And we were not allowed to talk and in class. And so I was just como los chinitos, just looking around. And just to make the story shorter, it was very difficult for me to understand the language, the alphabet, how to spell, how to write. It was very hard for me and my brothers. And if it hadn't been for a nun, Sister Carmen, and she took the time, she was from Colombia, I believe, and she was a nun there at Holy Cross and a teacher, and because it was run by nuns, and they were all teachers. And she took the time to keep us after school and show us how the words work, how the English language works, how to talk, how to read, how to spell. But it was a very frightening, for me, it was a very frightening experience. But I'm so grateful that individual that happened to be a nun took the time with me and took it by her hand and basically taught me the ropes that later on, and now I appreciate that, which I still have problems with the language. The English language is a
Jerry.
language.
I don't believe that, but okay. So it is very powerful. Your story is so powerful for all of us to understand how many of our fellow Mexican Americans that move to this country, how scary it can be. And unfortunately, not all of them have the opportunity to have such a lovely, strong family, and some of them struggle. So we want to always remember them. We will always want to be supportive of them in many, many ways. I know you have been. You've done endless things for the Latino, Mexican American community through all the different foundations that you work with. I've been a witness of that. Jerry, how do you, being that you were sheltered in certain ways because of your family and this beautiful educational environment that you were in, what motivated you to become this active community, activist that you became very early in life. Tell us, how did that happen?
Well, just one little thing I also want to go back just to say regarding the nun. And the reason I brought her up is that we all in life need mentors. We need a mentor. You need to lash on, hook up to an individual that is going to guide you. And we, as older that we get, and as professionals that are out there, we have an obligation to look for those young kids that are out there that have the guts, that have the drive, that have the sweat and tear, that want to learn, and we need to mentor them, and we need to be patient with them, and guide them. And these young kids, young generation, also need to be patient and be respectful. That's very important. My parents always taught me all my life to always be respectful. Nowadays, kids, sometimes kids, like, quiero sacar la chancla, you know, and they think everything is easy, but they also need mentors. So I encourage everyone that is listening and hearing this to find a person. If you're the mentor, then find one. If you're the mentor, you find one that you will teach and guide, because they are our future. So how I got into this? Well, like I said, I overcame a lot of obstacles, and I believe because of my upbringing. And like I said, we didn't have a lot of money. Nowadays, I know that we were in the poor category. I didn't know we were poor, because our parents shield us. We always have everything within reason where we need it. So my activism, according to my activism, it's really amazing how, because people that see me now, or they saw me when I got older in my adult life, they said, Jerry, what happened to you? You were not so vocal. You were not such a person that was activist out there. And I think that I at high school, there was the Brown Berets at the time, very active. They were considered militant, but I consider them individuals that gave us a voice. And I used to admire them, and we all did. They used to come to the schools and basically talk about what was going on in the community, because the news didn't really cover as they cover now. People really didn't talk about it. Our families did not talk about that. A lot of our families that come from other countries, they're grateful just to be here, but they don't know the injustice, or they don't want to talk about sometimes the injustices that are going on. And probably because they want to shield us, and they want to make sure that they don't go through to the things that they have gone through. So they don't talk about it. So I learned from the activism at high school. I think a lot of us did, my age, my generation, learned it through high school, not at home, probably, at high school and in college. And I saw...
Oh, sorry, Jerry. When you say brown berets, and I think some of our young audience may not know that term necessarily, you're talking about the Chicano movement, right?
Chicano movement. David Diaz, he was a leader. He is still alive, thank God. And he, it was a movement that basically saw the injustices that were going on. But basically like the black movement that the young generation is seeing right now, that has been going on for many years. The brown movement also started, and it was called Brown Power. And they basically took, sometimes they went a little bit overboard, but I think it was needed at the time to bring attention to the problems and to wake us up. It woke me up. So things started evolving, things started happening through high school. And I started, I got to tell you a little story. I don't know, well, you probably do know who Angela Davis is. And for the young generation, Angela Davis was one of the biggest militants, black militants of Black Power and so forth. And she's a doctor, Dr. Angela from Berkeley, and very outspoken. FBI was always after her. And I took the bus one night from school to my house, and I got off on 47th and Main. I lived on 47th and Broadway in Los Angeles. And there was a rally going on, a lot of commotion and a lot of stuff. So I was about maybe 16, 17, and I went in there, and basically it was Angela Davis speaking about the injustice of what was going on, not only for African Americans or blacks at the time that it was called Black movement, but also for the Chicanos and the Brown Power people. So she spoke about that, and I think that that's where my activism really started, with the Brown parades and the Black Power movement with Angela Davis. So now now that I know a little bit better, I say to people, you know what? There's probably photographs. I'm probably booked. I'm probably with the FBI. They probably had me there with Angela Davis. I didn't know who Angela Davis was at the time. Later on, I did. But I think, to answer your question, that's, I think, my activism woke up. And I saw, because I was a good kid. I am a good person, you know. I was a good kid, you know, very holy Catholic, good family. Never thought, or my mom never knew I was involved with any of these groups. And but it woke me up. But it also, there was a little bit kind of radicalism going on, but I took the good, a lot of the good that was being taught to us, and I think I tried to apply that to my everyday life.
Very good, very good. Well, we're very fortunate that you had that experience, you know, that has allow you to help so many people in the community. But now, all of a sudden, you know, this young man from Mexico who grew up a little bit sheltered and now starts seeing the world, and all of a sudden you become an actor. And I mean, I know that you had a very, very successful acting career. And could you tell us, I mean, for some of our young audience and all our audience that may want to know, how is it you became an actor? How did that happen? And what was that something that made you passionate?
Well, you know, I've been trying to put my finger on that. How did all that started? I think everyone, when you're growing up, has crossed everybody's mind. You know, I would like to try to be an actor, because we all have egos. People say, "Oh, I don't have an ego." Listen, I have an ego. You have an ego. Robert has an ego. Everybody's got an ego, and we just have to control that ego, because that ego could go crazy. So I think that we've all have that in us. And I said, and then people, as I grew older, you know, into my 18, 19 years old, people say, well, Jerry, you should be an actor. You want to be, you know, get involved in entertainment. And they kept telling me that. And so I got the bug there. One night I was at home, and I was listening, I was watching television, and I heard an announcement, a commercial, a public service announcement. And it said, if you would like to get into the arts, entertainment industry, come to my organization, and we will guide you and we will help you. And that was Ricardo Montalban. And he said, come to nosotros. And I wrote down the number. And of course, we all knew who Ricardo Montalban was, you know, because he's been a star. He has been a star since the early 50s. Not only here, but in Mexico, then, you know, huge star here with Fantasy Island and Spy Kids and you know, many, and Star Trek and so forth. And by the way, Ricardo Montalban became my mentor also in my older life, or my adult life. And he took me under his wing. And that's why I keep saying it's important to que la persona que se arrima a un buen árbol, que te da sombra, bien te va a proteger. So you need to be right next to a strong tree that's got good branches, that's going to guide you. So he was one of my mentors. And so I took that number, I called, and there was a lady at the time, a good friend that was later on the president of the organization. It was Alma Beltran. And she said, well, come on by. I went on Wilton Place in Hollywood, a small little storefront. It was a little theater. And I went, and she showed me what Nosotros was all about. And I started taking classes, and I I got involved. I started getting an agent. Then I also got a scholarship to Lee Strasberg Institute, which is one of the most respected acting schools in the world, especially the United States. And I studied with them, with Shelley Winters also, Margot Albert, Eddie Albert's wife. And I got a scholarship, and I still have the scholarship for life. I studied under, like I said, Shelley Winters and also Lee Strasberg himself, which was a big, huge honor. And everybody went there for the greats, like Marilyn Monroe, Dusty Hoffman, Marlon Brando, and so forth. Everybody that was someone, star, huge, went to Lee Strasberg. So I had that honor. And again, a lady that was mentoring kids got me to the interview and got me the scholarship. That was Margot.
That is such an amazing. If you see the screen, you can see a photo right there with very, very famous actors. And this was the Jerk. This on this photograph in a very, very famous movie. And I was gonna say, I mean, obviously, you received this. You were smart enough to accept mentorship from great people. I mean, but sometimes we have the opportunities, but we don't take them. You were smart enough to take the opportunities and be mentored by great people. And that blossomed into a very successful career, as we see some of the pictures right there. You did some very powerful, very important shows. I mean, like I just mentioned, you did you did Club Med, you did Hunters, you did General Hospital. So you were in the path of a very successful career as an actor here in the United States. Then, for some reason, you chose to go to Mexico City, and start a career in Mexico City, right in the blossoming moment of your career. Tell us why.
Well, that Mexico has always been known for the great filmmaking that they had done back in the early la época de oro, the golden age of filming. They were also the inventors of soap operas, of novelas, and we always heard of all the stars that came from Mexico and that worked in Mexico. Ricardo Montalban was one of them, and he actually was the one that actually said, "Well, try Mexico also." I was doing Fantasy Island here at the time, and with Ricardo, and so I didn't know anyone in Mexico, and so I got some notes and some names from people. Danny Villanueva, which is a great man. He was, he used to be an athlete with UCLA, the Rams, and then he became general manager of Spanish International Network. He gave me some names and so forth, and I went. And one other thing I just wanted to say about, I keep going. One other thing, I'll be going like that out through the interview, but is that there's so many stories, but mentors. It's just so important, the mentorship. Ricardo Montalban, Anthony Quinn, and other people. And I'm not saying this to brag about myself. It's just what they said, and that goes for also young individuals that we come across, people that are watching. One thing that Ricardo Montalban said to me, he said, "Jerry, there's something about you, and I'm going to take you under my wing, but you have to keep something in mind." And this is very important. And I was taught that also by my parents. You are young, and you're going to be introduced to a lot of people. And somehow I know that you're going to be meeting all these people because we're going to also introduce you out there. But keep in mind, always go into a meeting. First of all, go in with your mouth shut, with your ears open, and your eyes open, and don't speak until you're spoken to. And go in with respect, because those people are going to lead you to other people. And that's very important. I don't want to sound like I'm preaching, but that goes for the young generation. Nowadays, you tell that to a young person, you know what he's going to tell you. He's going to tell you, go fly a kite. But it's very important that I learned a lot. And it does get me upset when you try to talk to people, and grown-ups do it too. They don't listen. I have the problem also myself. And it's a virtuous. It's got to be. It's very important. So going back to Mexico, so here I am. I get off Fantasy Island show. We have a break, and I go to Mexico City. My niece Angeles lives in Mexico City, my sister's daughter, and that was one good thing is that she had the apartment, which Mexico is very expensive, very beautiful. I love Mexico City, and I started knocking on doors. No car, no I took a taxi everywhere, and I always say that I have angels, not one angel. I have a lot of angels. I was in a car accident, and I told God, please don't send me one, send me all the angels this time. But I think the angels have always been protecting me, because I went to Mexico City and knocking on doors, and then I went to go see Raul Velasco, which he had no relationship that we know of, and he had the biggest Siempre en Domingo, the biggest celebrity talk show for singers. I went to go see Jacobo Saludowski, which he had 24 horas, and just talking to them. And I guess that's where your youth, you use it to your advantage without abusing your youth, or that you don't get cocky. I guess they like what they were hearing. Next thing I know, I'm on 24 horas, this is something that only like a Ricardo Montalbán, or Sinatra, Sammy Davis, or Vicente Fernandez gets to be on those shows. Here I am, a 25-year-old kid, over there in my hometown. My mom was there at the time visiting in Ayotlan, Jalisco. They were going crazy. Here you have somebody from Ayotlan, Jalisco, on 24 horas being interviewed by the #1 show in the world, in the Spanish market. And then I knock on the door of Raul Velasco. Raul Velasco says, okay, what do you do? What is it? I gave him my resume. He interviewed me. He says, do you sing? Because he was concentrating only on singing. I said, no, I don't sing. He said, you know what? I like you, but I want to put you in the show anyway. I go, I don't sing. And so he said, I just want to interview you. And he put me on the show 3 times, not once, 3 times, on Siempre en Domingo. I didn't even ask for it. Again, I think that again comes from the consejos that my elders had given me. Then right. Raul Velasco introduces me to Ernesto Alonso, which is the king of soap operas. And long story short, I am on one of the major soap operas. It took me a year, and I didn't push it either, because you have to learn how to. They give you the lines through your ear, and you don't memorize things. So there's a whole process. It took me a year. I was patient, but then they were waiting to book me on a novela, and they were taking their time. So I was making the time to go to Mexico, and it was the biggest soap opera in history after Los Ricos También Lloran, which was El Maleficio. And Ernesto Alonso, Jacqueline Andere, Eduardo, everybody worked on it. And I just been very lucky. And I couldn't go anywhere in Mexico City after that soap opera, because first of all, it was a witchcraft, a devilish soap opera. And I used to go to the churches or mass, and they used to give me the cross. And I did Herencia Maldita with Angelica Maria. So I could go on and on and on of how fortunate I've been.
Well, I think that one of the reasons why so many people have in the past wanted to help you is because you have such wonderful personality, and you're likable, and you like to tell stories, and we all like that, and of course you achieve a tremendous success in Mexico because of your hard work, because as you said, your wonderful family upbringing, where they taught you respect, and it's good for our friends to remember that, when we show respect to others, and especially people in power and people with influence, they appreciate that. Right. This, like you said, the cockiness and the attitude that sometimes the younger generation may have, or any generation, sometimes that it doesn't give them the opportunity to be mentored.
Right.
you have. So wonderful advice that you've been giving us, Jerry. So
And we all
you
and we
achieved this.
we
Oh,
all been
please.
there. We all been there. Not to criticize the young generation. We've all done.
Yeah, you're
As
right.
we all think we're going to rule the world, but we will rule the world, and eventually, if we play it right. And one thing also is that is very important that I also was taught by my mentors, my family, Ricardo especially Montalban, is that give back. That you have to contribute. I was very fortunate but I didn't forget. Not only did I go to Mexico and started an acting career there. Probably I was one of the first Mexican Americans to go, Latinos to go to Mexico before Eric Estrada. So I tell Eric, I was the first one before you, and Eric's a friend of mine. But we always give back. I also became the president of the Ricardo Montalban organization, Nosotros, where we mentor a lot of the young actors that you see out there. They had already either had started their careers, like Mike Gomez, Eddie Olmos, Lupe Ontiveros, Pepe Serna. They all became part of Nosotros. And if they were already there, they helped our struggle. And what we did is basically we groom new actors. Like Pepe Serna was already around, and Barbara Carrera, Henry Darrow, and Gilbert Rowland and Anthony Quinn. So we used that movement to be able to help other young generation kids or artists, male or females. And I could have not done it alone. It was Ricardo's name. I was the president, but it was Ricardo's name that we always used, the banner. And we would go to studios and we would basically ask in the beginning, and if it didn't work, we would demand that they give equal access to employment, that they give equal access to all artists that have a dream. Don't shatter the dream. So we help them. We help them get started. We help their career. We help them get agents because they did that to me. They helped me get an agent. So I'm a firm believer of giving back. I'm a firm believer of the nonprofits. We must get involved because nonprofits are going to disappear if we don't do something about it like we're doing right now. Other people are helping out. So I'm very passionate of giving and encouraging that, and hopefully I could penetrate to the young generation, young minds that are out there that give. Don't ask for money.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And you're absolutely right. Not just the young generation, but everyone, because, you achieve all this success, but you never forgot, as you just told us right now, that you were fortunate to receive mentorship, and then as a way to give back, you have been endlessly doing things for the next generation and for the same generation, people that need help.
Right.
And of course, Nosotros, as the president of Nosotros for 30 years, as you just mentioned, and you organized the Golden Eagle Awards, and all the greatest, Latino stars have received that, and so many people that we don't even know they are Latinos and they have Mexican American background. They receive this awards, and so it's helped the community so much over the years. And then after that, you decided that you wanted to get deeper into politics. I know that for many years you have been helping many of the new political figures with your influence as the president of Nosotros, and your connections. You have been helping many of the politicians are trying to get up there and help the community, and you have also been involved in politics. How do you decided to do that big jump from being deeply involved in the arts and now moving to politics?
Well, that people ask me that question a lot, and I've been a person since I was a kid. I was exploring things, experimenting. What is Jerry gonna do next? And I've always been involved, through my entertainment career, in politics also, helping, like you said, helping other politicians, like, Supervisor now, Hilda Solis, that was Secretary of Labor, Congressman Esteban Torres, Congressman Edward Roybal, and so forth. And it goes back how everything you give, if you give one, you get three back in return. And because we do it because we want to do it, and we're doing it for that intention. I was able to, to me, like I said, all these people, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, they're also considered one of my men. I consider them also some of my mentors. They taught me the labor movement. So I was always involved because I had the influence of the entertainment world. You could say the entertainment power, because actors, artists are very important, and they're very influential in shaping minds. So, and convincing people. Their name, they don't have to give you money, just their name is worth millions of dollars. So I would get calls from individuals that were, back then, there were assistants or secretaries, real secretaries, and the old secretaries, to the powers to be, whether it's a congressman, a senator, or assemblyman, or a council person. And they would say, Jerry, can you help us out with the celebrity? Can you help us out with Eddie Olmos, with Ricardo Montalban, with Luton Tibero, with Pepe Serna, with Mike Goldman, whomever? We're doing a fundraiser. And I would always, help them or try to help them. And I never said no to them, and I never charged them for anything. I did it because I just wanted to do it. Well, when I decided to get into politics, and I'm saying this because how things come back to you. I was told by Esteban Torres, Congressman Torres, and Hilda Solis, because I saw a lot of things that needed to be changed here in our city. We needed to get rid of things that were not good. And I was complaining about it and so forth. They said, well, Jerry, why don't you run for office and do something about it from within? And I said, sure. So, okay, I got a team together, and we ran. I ran for city council. I didn't make it in the first round, and I was learning, and that's why you have to have patience. And but I did get appointed. I did get appointed to the planning commission. And then 2 years later, there was a position open for treasurer, and I ran for treasurer. Then council 2 years after that, and I got elected, and I was the highest vote getter. I'm proud to say, like I'm bragging, but it's the truth. I was the highest vote getter here in the city as a city councilman, and that was 4.5 years ago. And I got help from a lot of these politicians. The people that I helped, without even knowing that I was going to be running for office, I helped them 10, 15 years before that. They came and endorsed me. As you can see some of the pictures, Jimmy Smits, Eddie Olmos, Hilda Solis, and Ricardo Montalban would have been alive. I'm sure he would have been there. But those are the things, that's why I say, and I was taught also that by my parents, when you do a good deed, do it without expecting or asking anything in return, because then no cuenta, it won't count. And this is why it doesn't count. If I would have told them then, I want to help you, but I want this and this and that, I would have never gotten the same return that I got and response that I've gotten lately. So we ran for office, we got elected. I saw that I ran on the platform that we need to change certain things. We need to improve what was already good here, and we need to bring the arts back. And believe it or not, people thought I was crazy mentioning the arts. That brought a lot of attention, because like I say, a place without the arts is a home, a city, a state. Without arts, it's a dark place. And arts brings things out in people. So we started with the Nutcracker, and a big success. Who would have thought? They said, Jerry, you crazy about ballet here in the city of Amani? Well, we sold it out. We had to bring in 4 other shows. I started bringing in actors like Jimmy Smith, Eddie Olmos, Maria Conchita Alonso, Apollonia, for them to start looking, Moctezuma Esparza as a producer, for them to start looking into maybe bringing in their business, their shop, their offices here to El Monte. Mike Gomez, he's also an actor, and he lives here in El Monte, and he's very much involved. He's also a commissioner for Hilda Solis. So I started mentioning that. People got excited. And the surprising thing about it is it did not cost the city anything, because what I did, I used my nonprofit skills. And I love to ask for money from people for nonprofits. And so I went to them and I said, look, we need $100,000 or $80,000 and we need funding. You are a business, you're doing good, help us out. They all came through. They said, nobody's ever asked us. And I'm glad that you're doing that. So I ran for office because I saw that there was a need. I saw some bad things that were really going on. And we are happy to say, I'm happy to say that we have a good council. We have a great mayor. He's a prosecutor for the city of El Monte, Andre Quintero. We have improved, I think, the city tremendously. We could still do better, and we're doing it, but we're doing it with the help of the community. And I like the fact that people come to us, that people are saying, what else do you need here in the city? Henry Cisneros, Julian Castro, Biden, people, not only Latinos, non-Latinos. And that comes, I think, a lot of some of the things that the reason that they're able to come over, because I invite them, is because of my past relationship that I've had with them. So again, I remind you, your good deeds would not go unnoticed. Someday, somewhere, you don't do it for that reason, but it's going to be noticed. I'm a perfect example of that. I'm an example of if you try to do good, I could do more, and I will. You'll get 3 or 4 returns more than what you thought you were going to get, and it's very helpful. It's very helpful to art.
Jerry, I was going to ask you, what would you say to the young and to the fellow Mexican American and Latino people that are listening, that would be your advice for them? And I think you've been telling us that all along. I can tell you, that clearly what I am learning from you is that you truly believe in the power of mentorship and the power of helping others, selflessly, because ultimately that comes around, and you repeat this multiple times, when you do something for somebody else, it comes back to you multiple times. And no wonder I understand now that for so many years that I've known you, you've done so many things for people, including myself, just because. And it, it's something that we can all learn from, and we should all learn from this advice. In addition of this wonderful advice that you have given us throughout your very, very impressive professional career and life, would you have any final advice, any final comments that you want to share with our friends that are listening?
Final? There's never a final with me. No, there's so much that I could say, and all the other guests that you've had before could say. One of the things, I did an interview yesterday, and they were asking me, how do you want to, you running for office, what is it that you feel that you have accomplished, so that I don't go on all the materialistic and all the developments that we're having and so forth. So, one of the great feelings that I feel is that because I was there before, to let people know that they have a voice. Because for many years, I was told, and other people, and they're still being told, that within our government and within our life, that sometimes we don't have a vote, we don't have a voice. And I feel that I given that voice to some people that were insecure about it, but I told them, I will be your voice, but you have the voice also, so that you can teach others to tell them you have a voice, and that we can speak and we can talk. And as the great Dolores Huerta always said, and Cesar Chavez, si se puede, you can do it. And you just have to have ganas. You have to have, la fuerza para seguir adelante. And that's what I feel proud of. And I would advise, remember, you do have a voice, and just get it out there. That's why the arts is very important, because the arts will get it out.
Very good. Well, those were very, very powerful words. And Jerry, we come to the end of this magical interview. I think we all have learned a lot from your experience, and that is really why the Mexican American Culture Education Foundation continues to record Mexican American history makers' lives, so we can all continue to learn from them, to know what they have contributed and how they have become who they are. And we thank you for taking the time. We know that you're very busy. We know that your duties in the city of El Monte and so many other things that you do, you're very active in the arts. We know that your time is very valuable, and we thank you again for this wonderful opportunity to talk to you and learn from you. And and thank you very much, and have a wonderful rest of your day. And friends, thank you so much for being part of this event. We look forward for you to join in on our future interviews with Mexican American history makers. Have a great day. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. Stay safe.